How's it going, guys? Welcome back to KraftingKars. Today we are back to work on the EP3. We've made some huge milestones on this guy today. As you can see, engine's in, power's on. I see an AC condenser up front there. Let's get to work. To keep that factory style shifter feel, we're installing a used set of EP3 shifter cables that are in fantastic condition. While I was under there, I noticed it was dusty, grimy, and since it's close to the exhaust, it was looking like a fire hazard. So we took care of that with some super clean. Inside the car, we attach the cable ends and lube up the shifter mechanism. The old serpentine belt was falling apart. I decided to throw on a new Gates belt, especially since it's way easier to do this when the engine's outside the car. The carpet was looking kind of poopy, kind of pissy, so I decided to bust out the vacuum and give it a good clean. If you own an old Civic, you've probably dealt with this, but the original plastic hood latch pulls love to snap. Luckily, they make metal upgrades now, so we're tossing one on the car. The dust boot that goes around the clutch fork can't do its job if it's got a big old hole in it, so we replaced that. Well, guys, I think the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here, and I couldn't be more excited. This is going to be really cool. It's time to put the K20A2 into the Honda Civic EP3. We've done pretty much all we could while the engine was outside the car. I tell you what, it would have taken twice as long and would have been about half as thorough if we did all this work while it was still in the car. Installing engines can be a little tricky when you're just one guy. However, it's not my first time doing it, and it certainly won't be my last. It's in. To get rid of the old gas, I'm just going to siphon it out by hot wiring the fuel pump. I got the yellow going to the power on the bottom right, and the green goes to the ground on the bottom left. Now, you don't want to get that messed up. You could short out your pump or mess up your fuel level sensor. So I actually did pull the pump out just to double check, and I'm going to be powering it with our 12-volt Milwaukee battery here. We should hear it click on. All right, let's see if we got fuel flowing. Yep, sounds like it. Make sure the battery's not getting hot. I got an inline fuse here just in case. While this is pumping out, we got Lauren detailing the CRV. How's it going over there?
Pennies on the glass.
Battery tray was looking pretty rusty, so I figured we'd restore that before it disintegrates on the owner one day. I noticed the engine was kind of tilted down towards the driver's side. Turns out I had this mount upside down. And now we got access to this little M6 hole, which we can use as a ground. I almost forgot to mention I put on a fancy coil pack cover. It was black, but I sprayed it that nice silver color. It matches our battery tray, so I finished painting this up, and it also matches like the alternator, the starter, and I'm thinking I'll paint the intake the same color, and that should hopefully tie everything together. Last time I checked, you don't shift this car from side to side, so I must have switched around those shift cables. Everything looks cool in the engine bay and underneath the car, so they must have got swapped around inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and reverse. All right, back to the tucked AC system. Let's connect a few more lines. So somehow I'm gonna have to get this tucked AC line onto that compressor fitting right there, and that is a tight squeeze. You got the alternator in the way, coolant overflow. I don't know if I can get it in there. Take the headlight off. That'll give us a little bit more access. Yeah. All right. Here's the last part of the shift cable install, and we're gonna toss on the throttle cable. I apologize for skipping around the project so much. The reason I do that is because anytime I have a hiccup or maybe a spot where I gotta do some research or get a new part coming, if I just stop and sit there, I could spend, half my day just trying to figure out a solution when I could be spending that time taking action on other parts of the car and making some real progress. So I'd say, yeah, action beats overthinking every single time. You could worry about thinking and coming up with a solution when you're in the shower or when you're trying to sleep at night. For example, right now, I've got a couple things hanging me up. So first of all, the idle air control valve electrical plug there is running into the radiator shroud or the radiator fan shroud, allowing me to not get this seated properly. So I actually found out that, you can run a slim fan, but they don't actually work as well as the OEM fans with these really nice big shrouds on them. I found out there is an idle air control valve rotating plate, so I'm probably going to pick up one of those. It's like $40 as opposed to getting a whole new fan and shroud assembly. Those are like $300 something. Another issue we got here is I'm about ready to install the last AC line. We are almost done with this tuck kit. It's been fighting me every step of the way. And here we are again. Can't get this line on because where it mounts up is right up against the radiator, so there's no room. It's supposed to kind of snake around on the RSX, which this condenser is from. However, we still have the factory EP3 radiator. The condenser is just a little bit. Let's see if we can get it unmounted here. Who is calling me at this hour? Lauren! Hi, Lauren. Good morning.
Morning.
So I moved the condenser over about 1.5 inches, giving us proper clearance for this hose. I might have to twist the hard line just a little bit and maybe trim up the steel, but this is definitely going to work. Now, for the factory mounting location, we obviously can't use those holes anymore, but I found out that the little rubber bushings that the condenser uses to hold itself in place without transmitting too many vibrations to the core, they fit perfectly in these little axle nuts. So if I can just tack weld the axle nuts to the lower radiator support here, we're going to be in business, because that is a perfect fit, which is really cool. This is painted, got this trimmed out a little bit, and we got it rib nutted and painted, and then we got a rib nut right here and a rib nut right here. We're getting close. All right. While we have access to it, let's take a look at this clutch slave cylinder. That bleeder screw is rusted on there. Oh, right in my fucking eye. We're gonna want to flush out that master cylinder, maybe get a new line. You guys watch this for me. I'm gonna go hit the clutch pedal a couple times. So I stopped by AutoZone, got ourselves a new slave cylinder, a hardline bending tool, and a little section of brake line that we're gonna use as our replacement clutch line. We tried everything to try to bleed that slave cylinder. I tried the reverse bleed method. I tried the standard bleed method. I tried applying vacuum to the bleeder screw, applying vacuum to the master cylinder, using a syringe to create different pressures. Nothing was working. It was very, very, very frustrating. I could bleed it from the slave cylinder to the center union, but that was about it. Until I figured out the issue. It had to do with the clutch adjustment. So I pulled the pin and the little clip here, and that allowed the little master cylinder rod to go all the way back. And when it's all the way back, that opens up just a tiny little hole. I don't know if it was called the gravity bleed hole. I forgot what the hole was called. But then finally, once I open that up, now the fluid will drain out of the master cylinder reservoir. A properly adjusted clutch pedal should have about 1/2 inch of free travel before engaging the master cylinder. This allows the actual reservoir to drain the fluid into the cylinder before the pedal pushes it out of the cylinder into your clutch line. All right, down.
I can't get it down like all the way down.
All right, well, just push as hard as you can. There we go. Now we're talking. I bet you it went down now, eh? Yeah. Yep. Sweet. So that was basically a full flush, and as you can see, it was much needed. Next, I'm gonna pull the harness through the firewall. What I'll probably do is use this old sub power wire and tape it to one of these plugs. It is super tight behind the firewall on these EP3s. So if I tape those together and use that wire to kind of pull it on through into the interior, it should help guide it so I can get it into the right spot. I think I also got to remove that box there and give myself some extra clearance. Looks like we got some more mouse remnants under the carpet too. We're gonna end up pulling it. That totally worked. I'd say it's probably a good time to put the battery in this thing and see if we can power it up. I'm curious to see if the headlights still work. They've got some old LED headlights in there. They're probably like 15 years old. But our friends over at Auxito sent us a set of, I think, their best lights here. This is their X5 series. I ran Auxito bulbs before. I used them for license plate lights on the Civic. I really liked them. And I think I've just got their standard series on the CRV. And I really like them on there too. They kind of make it look more modern. And I'm excited to see what they look like on the Civic here. So let's toss this battery in, hook up power, maybe some ground wires, and then we'll do a quick comparison and install these guys, and I'll let you know what I think. All right, let's see what happens. Heyo! We'll toss the Auxito on the passenger side, install it, that way we get a side-by-side comparison. All right. Oh, no way. Little gloves. We're gonna put them on just because they supply them. Hey man, that'll work. And it looks like they give us zip ties, foam tape, and O-rings too. So it looks like we just pop in our lock ring. Use the factory clip. Put the dust boot on. Make sure to tuck the seal around that little tube there. And it looks like this just slides on in. You just give it a little turn, and you're locked in. Put some fresh dielectric on our plugs here. Hopefully this headlight still fits with our AC tuck kit there. This plugs in easy enough. And I didn't even realize that the EP3 has daytime running lights, or they're kind of like city lights, so that's cool to see. Turn signal bulb over here. Quick test. Yeah, that thing is bright. This old LED is flickering. I don't know if you could tell on camera. I also noticed the old LED is a lot louder than the new LED. You hear that buzzing? And then I'll come over here. And you just kind of hear the sound of the air coming out of the cooling fan. So I feel like this one's moving more air and somehow it's quieter. To see which one's projecting better, I'm gonna stand in front of each headlight and we'll see which one looks brighter on the garage door. This is what the new headlight looks like. And this is what the old headlight looks like. Big improvement. So shout out to Auxito for sending me a product that doesn't suck. They want me to put a link in the description in case you guys want to purchase your own LED headlights. And if you do upgrade your lights, please don't be that guy. Aim your headlights so it's not blinding everybody on the road. I'm gonna put in the other one. Very cool. I think that's a good spot to call it for today. I don't want you guys waiting too long between episodes. We probably only have a couple episodes left on this guy. Just gotta have one where we button everything up, fill up the AC system, make sure that's working, and then it'll probably be time to break in the clutch, drive it around, hook up the Honda K Pro, and bring it to the dyno and see if we can make over 200 wheel horsepower. So thank you guys once again for tuning into Crafting Cars. It seems I haven't cracked the YouTube code yet. It's been over 10 months since I've had a video get over 1,000 views. So let me know if you guys have any suggestions or anything like that. I'm still having fun making these videos. However, it takes a long time and YouTube don't pay for it. So it's more of a labor of love at this point and good advertisement. And I really like to provide this service for my customers. We have no shortage of work now. I've got a lot of really cool and positive news. I've had a lot of crazy struggles over the past 10 months running this business. It's enough where I could probably make a whole episode talking about it. So something like that's probably coming soon. We got some other cars we got to work on here. I got more NSX stuff coming in here. Man, it's wild. This is a wild time. We've got some huge life news, some life-changing stuff coming up here. And yeah, I just can't thank you guys enough for sticking around and watching the whole thing unfold. So I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.